But here's my hot take. I think they're going to be much better on the offensive line. And that's why I didn't give that as my answer, because I am expecting that. I'll be disappointed if the offensive line's not much better. Look, man, I just think, Jeremiah Byers has been playing right tackle at UTEP and grading out really well, doing really well there, but they're looking at moving him to guard. I think there were some negotiations being done. This is a theory. I don't know if this is true or not, but you talked about these guys playing different positions. I kind of feel like Alex Atkins did some, negotiating in terms of where do you want to play for the next level, and maybe we can help you make that transition. Casey Roddick, for example, has played a lot of tackle. I think they want him to try to see if he could be a center. Yeah. And so maybe that was part of the discussion. Look, man, I'm going to coach you well. I'm going to make you better. This is a good team. It's a good culture. It's a good place to be. Oh, and I'll work you at center. And because that might be where you have a chance to play. Or Byers, you're probably not going to be a tackle in the NFL, but you might be a guard in the NFL. So come here and be a guard. And so, again, so I don't know how it's all going to play out. I don't know who's going to end up where. But when I look at the guys that they're losing and the guys they're bringing in, I think the kid from Auburn is going to, Keandre Jones, I think he's going to be really, really good. I mean, he's the one on paper that probably doesn't show as much success. He lost his starting job at Auburn, but I think there's a ton of potential there. That dude is a freakish human being, and I think Atkins is going to get the best out of him. And the guys you're bringing back, Robert Scott and Darius Maurice. I just think that line has a chance. And then Julian Armella getting to play this year. I just think they're going to be. I think they're going to be. I don't want to say much improved because they were pretty good last year, but I think that there's a good chance they'll be improved.
Okay, so here's a fun exercise then. Ranking the position groups on offense, because if you think that the offensive line is going to go to another level, then they're good at every single position group on offense.
I'm telling you, man, that offense is loaded.
So let's remove quarterback because that's one player. The position groups: receiver, running back, tight end, and offensive line. Which is the best group in the managing editor of Warchant.com's mind in the fall of 2023? Which group is going to be the best?
I'll probably say running back. Okay. I like the receiver group a whole lot, but man, I think the running back group is top to bottom really fantastic. And then you got CJ Campbell as a walk-on, Keziah Holmes. Look, he's another one. We spoke to him last week because I asked somebody in the program, I says, Keziah Holmes as good as he thinks he is? And he wasn't like braggadocious or anything, but you could tell he really is confident in his abilities. And look, man, he was a 4-star prospect coming out of high school. He's a really well put together kid, 210 pounds. And he said it looks worse on paper than it did sounding when he said it. But the quote was something like, I feel like I'm a lot like Trey Benson, but with a little bit more lateral movement. He didn't say more, but I've got some lateral movement as well. Trey has some too. I just think that running back room is elite. I think the receiver room can be elite. Yeah. But I think the running back room and quarterback is certainly elite.
Yeah. What was interesting was that Trey quote tweeted Keziah and said,
"Did he?"
Yes, and he said they're going to see it. They're going to see it.
Oh, right.
So I find that interesting. Sometimes there's, not trying to cause a problem, but sometimes there's infighting in a position group because there's only one football and you want to fight for it. But not only did Trey do nothing about it, he said, "Oh no, you're right. You're right. This is you're going to show the world." And then Rodney Hill is in that conversation too, and that's my guy. They need a guy. Ira and Toafili can do this. We're not talking about him, and he's only a very important, versatile member of the offense. They need a guy who can hit the hole, and quickly. Trey sometimes when he goes wrong likes to wait and wait around. And that's where losing Trayshawn Ward hurts.
Right. But I think you and I are on the same page. We both think Rodney Hill can be that guy. I think Keziah Holmes very well likely could be that guy too. But yeah, Rodney Hill, it's funny you said that about Trey because when Trayshawn Ward got hurt last season, we were coming out of I think we had done some interviews. It might have been the Monday press conference. Yeah, because we were at the Monday press conference with Norvell, and Trayshawn Ward tweeted out the picture of him in surgical gown or whatever. And it looked like he was going to need surgery. And I was walking out and I walked past Trey Benson. And I said to him, it wasn't an interview. I just said to him, I said, "Man, it stinks about Trayshawn." And he's like, "Yeah, it does." And then he goes, and I said, "But it's a good opportunity for Rodney." He goes, "Oh boy." He goes, "He's ready too." Like you could see the joy in his face about people getting to see Rodney Hill. didn't really happen. They ended up, I think, relying on the older guys in that game. But yeah, man, I think you and I are at practice every day, and I think we might be president and vice president or co-president of
Yeah.
the Rodney Hill fan club. I think he's going to do really good things. What do you think? Is that the
Oh,
group you think, or what do you
I,
think?
I got a hot take. I got a
All
hot take
right.
here for you too. That tight end room is going to be the talk of the ACC. That is going to be every week. They're going to highlight, look at all these guys, because Marquiston is a part of that rotation. I don't think he's not going to see the field. I think he's still going to see the field. And with Jaheim Bell essentially being, I would say, like an H-back. So it's kind of a cheat move to keep him as a true tight end just because of the way we picture that position. But given the versatility of what these guys can do, and you're right, you don't count out Brian Courtney either in terms of just, again, being versatile at the position. They now have – it's like the receiver room the year before, Ira. We were lamenting that they didn't have like a guy that they could go to with any consistency in 21. Last year, you had a guy who could do everything. You had somebody who could stretch the field, multiple players. You had a red zone weapon in Johnny Wilson, who was more than that, but just in terms of height. Possession receivers, underneath guys. It went from having nothing to having everything. It's going to be the same thing for the tight end room this fall.
What personnel do you think gets the most run on this team? I'm curious.
Too tight, probably a lot, but not lined up on the ends. You know what I mean? Like, Jaheim could be
one
anywhere,
split off,
and Kyle Morlock could be out wide with Johnny on the other side. You got 2 6-7 plus targets. I feel like there's going to be a lot of wide open dudes, Ira. There's going to be a lot of wide open dudes, especially if they establish the run early in these games. How can you? There are so many mismatches that they have in this offense that it's hard to imagine that they're not going to have wide open looks, tempo or not, often in each of these games. I don't know how they're going to balance it. It's a really great problem to have because 2 years ago, the question was, all right, they can't block, they can't protect, they can't catch contested passes, but we know they're going to have 2-3 25-yard runs this game, but is that going to be enough?
Put more backs on the field. Yeah, man. And if I just tuned into this right now, the last 5 minutes, I mean, we sound like fanboy homers. I mean, I get it. It sounds like we're gushing over this offense, but honestly, if their offensive line is good or better, which I think it's going to be better next year, with everything else you have, it's kind of crazy what they have on offense. And I think the world of Mike Norvell as a play caller, I think we saw that this past year. I thought I was hopeful that the move from Kenny as play caller to Mike Norvell might be better. And I think it was. And I think that offense overall and Alex Atkins' imprint in it, that coaching staff's done a great job. But we're not talking about the same way on defense. We have some questions about the defensive side of the ball, and they don't have to be lights out, but they do have to be better on that side of the ball to get into that championship conversation. But I think that's why you've seen them devote some of the resources that they have, getting Daryl Jackson and Braden Fisk and the defensive ends they brought in. I mean they've made a lot of Fentrell Cypress, one of the best cornerbacks in the ACC. This could be a pretty special season.